welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day number 289. So, it's time for the daily update. Today is Saturday, so there's no updates on the anticipated appeal to the eviction, to the LTB ruling that we won. There is one sponsored block type remaining in the Shopify Store. And the last long-form video was published 3 days ago now, and I've been making some shorts. I gotta recycle my content more and squeeze a bit more out of it. So today I think I posted the one on housing. And I guess we'll continue with work on the terminal block mining simulation game. So today, I pushed the in-progress changes, or the changes I merged in the changes from the last few days. So we'll test through and make sure that works. Okay, single player client works. And there was also a change I made in the help menu. Yep. So as of now, I think I have most of the major architectural changes done. The main changes I need done before I can start generalizing how I do the connections, connections to different block worlds. What are we compiling? I'm compiling the server for the following terminal-based video game. So let me run the client here. So the approach, the eventual goal of the last few weeks of work is going to be to merge together the single-player client and the multiplayer client. So here's the multiplayer client. So that works. All right, so they all work well. So the next step, I think, will be to generalize this. Actually, there's some other things I should maybe move around, like the user interface. That's been a persistent problem. Maybe I can just move that into the init method of the client. It's cold here. We're in the coldest week of the year, mid-February. And after that, it should hopefully get slightly warmer on average every day. Okay, excellent. That just works. So I didn't need it in the client at all. And that should also resolve that issue I had with exceptions in the past. And that can be just deleted. Okay, looks good. So next, I can generalize this. My hands are so cold I can barely type. I gotta warm them up with tea. All right, we're almost there. Giordani says, hello there. How are you? I'm pretty good. Another day of small incremental progress. How are you? Great. I haven't touched code in a while, because I'm working on math. Yeah, math is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time to learn math. You have to do problem sets for hours and hours. Okay, we're getting close. Yes, but not that bad. Yeah, it's good when you have the time for it. But if you have like 5 million assignments to do at once, it can get overwhelming. First, get a rock. Then, smash the rock. Now, you've got 98% concentrated silicon dioxide. Lead to headache and several number trauma. Very wise. Thank you. I'm glad someone appreciates my wisdom. you could told something to young Robert, what would it be? These hypothetical questions are always difficult to answer because, well, if you actually thinking about this, I made a video specifically on this topic. I forget what I titled it. It's a video of me standing by the river, by that tree, fallen tree, and I talked about errors of prediction and the errors of strategy, where like errors of prediction are like, if I could go back, I would have told myself to buy this stock. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I guess for the long answer, go watch that video. For the short answer, I would drop out of high school and buy NVIDIA stock, because I had a few $1,000s back then. And then if I just put a few $1,000 in NVIDIA, then I'd be doing well. Hey bro, in your video of CBO tutorial, there's a stage where the rock becomes a pristine silicon wafer. If it's called a wafer, can I eat it? Theoretically you can, but if you try to bite into it, it'll shatter, and it'll basically be like shards of glass in your mouth, and it's quite sharp. Because of the crystal structure. It's got a very regular crystal structure, so it might even be like more sharp than glass. So I definitely would not advise biting into a silicon wafer. All right, that's pretty close. Now I just need to shut down the servers. How's everybody programming? I am programming a terminal-based video game, and I'm about to try and compile it, so I might be able to demo it for you. Okay. Do you prefer cookies or pancakes? They're both good. What's your favorite color? Blue is a pretty good color. Okay, so someone asked me about what are you programming? I am programming a terminal-based video game where you can simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore inside of an infinite, procedurally generated universe. So you wander around and you spam the M key to mine these blocks. And they show up in your inventory. And you can select around. Let's close that frame. You can open the crafting menu. You can craft some better pickaxes. Now I can mine out to a larger radius. And that is the basic game loop at the moment. And right now, the general feature that I'm programming is going to be support for multiplayer. that's looking pretty good. Now let's see what happens when if I remove this. So now there's no world connection and no authorized world connection. So this should compile and also not crash. And then this is where those input menus that I spent all that time creating, this is where that will come into play as being useful. All right, that's kind of what I expect, but I've expected it would, okay. It's almost initialized, but I can't open any frames. Interesting. What is the point of life? That's a very deep philosophical question. I don't know. What kind of answer are you looking for? Oh, interesting. The help menu was there. It just wasn't showing up. Answer however you like. I would say the meaning of life is to believe in yourself. That's a pretty good answer. All right, how will I make this? I must be waiting for some event. Oh, maybe it is. Probably somebody in here. So I think it's probably not, because there's no clients. There's no initial event that's getting sent. Meaning of life is object. That's a good answer. No, but that didn't do it. Maybe it's this. Thoughts on becoming #1 data storage center on Earth on Axel Heiberg. Looks like a promising gig due to the temperature. Yeah, and there's also there's an ample supply of water up there too, so we won't have neighbors that are getting angry, saying that we're taking up all the water supply. Once investors hear wind of my idea, I think they'll be sure to finance my $12 billion deep water port plan, and then we can get the whole project started. So I'm trying to figure out why this does not initialize when I have no client model set up. And it might be down to this event. Oh, that's wrong. Let's try this. Do you have problems differentiating your YouTube characters from yourself? Or is there a clear line between the two? Maybe there is no character at all. I don't know, it's a good question. I mean, I guess people just ask me questions, and I can tell they're joking around, so I joke around too, and that's all there is. So maybe there is no character at all. They're one and the same. I'm sure he's serious about building a civilization in Axel Heiberg. Canadian from Ontario, and I believe in him. Well, thank you. I just need a few thousand more people who also believe in my idea. Then I can start building the financial engine. And I can reinvest all that financing, build out the model more. I can get more detailed, make the vision a bit more detailed. Okay, this is looking good. This did exactly what I wanted. Now let's see what this does. Look at that. Out of bounds. That's what I expected. So that's what I was missing. I mean, we need somebody who has some vision on how to build more housing in this country. The whole affordability, like Canada we did seem to be like one of the most stable, high trust, high economic standard societies in the world for a while, and we've been slipping downward quickly. I think I saw a chart today, like Japan has always been the country with like some of the highest debt to GDP, and I think we're getting up there too. What do you think of prefab houses? I've seen Carney promoting it. I think most of all the stuff that Carney is doing, like he has substantial, I think he is in power primarily to benefit his substantial financial interests and the connections he has. Because he owns, like if we have a bunch of taxpayer money building these free prefab houses, I think most of that money is going to the companies that he is associated with. I think it's I think really there's a couple different questions. There's questions about like who benefits, like who is, is someone taking money off the top? And then there's also the questions about like the efficiency of building houses. I think there's people have said for years, if you denominate the cost of a house in gold, it's actually gotten cheaper to build a house. Well, I guess actually now that gold has gone up, where does it see? Let me think. Gold has gone up. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done the math on it, but anyway, the point is, housing has actually gotten like more efficient and more cheap, but there seems to be a lot of push to like try and get the government involved in building involved in the process of building it and like managing the money. But that's just further separation of people from control and agency over another part of their lives, which is building a house. Like if we rely on the government to build houses, then the money's just going to disappear. But if you put like a person in the woods, saying like, okay, you have to build your own house to survive, you're going to be very motivated to do a good job. The thing with Canada is I think 90% of land belongs to the Crown. You need to go through applying permits to build stuff on the land. Yeah, I think I saw there was one real estate video guy I watched, and I think he was saying he was comparing land prices in Florida to Ontario, and the land prices here are like 10 times higher than they are in Florida. And there is in some of the remote areas, land is cheaper, but there's also, I think so. You also still have to deal with like, I saw some videos of someone who wanted to get away from bureaucracy, so they moved way up to northern Ontario somewhere, and they were still they were in some undeclared municipality something or other, but there was still with some person who was aboard of this massive uninhabited region who was coming out to inspect it and was hassling them, and it's getting comparatively cheaper to build. Yeah, we need stability. If we could have reasonable numbers for immigration, and like no pandemics and wars for a few years, that would at least allow it's really difficult to build a business model when the financial world is totally changing. And you have like extinction level events every few years. People should have the right of multiple houses, or people should limit it to just one home. I think people should. There's lots of talk about going after. I think even people owning 10 houses, even some of the people that work in our government who have 10 houses, those people are not the problem. There are massive financial interests, hedge funds, and the slumlords that own thousands and thousands of units. Those are the ones that I think it's actually better if we had thousands of small landlords than to have a small number of big landlords. Of course, you need to start off grid with own ways of generating electricity, heat, water. But eventually, you need to pay to hook up electricity lines. I think getting an electrical hookup is not that difficult. You can even get that in a pretty remote area. We live in a capitalistic society. As long as we have unlimited right to acquire wealth, we should have the right to acquire as many houses as they desire. Yeah, people hate on capitalism, but honestly, I think a lot of the biggest problems that we have with what people criticize as capitalism is not capitalism. It's the whole privatized profits and socialized losses model. You can call me Eric. Hi, dude. How are you doing? I have a question. Why are most of the big companies making Indians as their CEOs? That's a good question. I don't have an answer for you. If I was the person that had the answer, they'd probably make me the CEO. I don't know. I guess that might have something to do with the whole they have to pick someone who's senior, who has the seniority. And when you bring people in on the very precarious F1 visas and stuff, in U.S. or Canada, because they're on more precarious work arrangements, they're kind of hired preferentially because you can always wag your finger at them and be like, you better work really hard or we'll deport you. All right. So this should not have crashed for that case. Let me try that again. I might open the wrong one. They make up a big percentage of the corporate world. Yeah, when I worked at when I was an intern at NVIDIA, they put us on a bus and took us to the Social Security office to get our Social Security numbers. I always forget. Social Security, Social Insurance. One is Canadian, one's American. And I remember the majority of people who were interns were they were all from India on an F1 visa. I think it was an F1 visa, which is I think the international one. Worked in the office for 2 years. Couldn't bear it. 70% of the company More people from India. Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's a difficult part. It's annoying because it's a difficult subject to cover. When I was in undergrad, I had peers who were like, they were, historically from India, and some of them were like, they were Indian, but they were born here in Canada, and they spoke perfect English, and they, were totally accustomed to Canadian culture and everything, and I don't have a problem with those people, but like ever since COVID happened, like here in the Kitchener area, it's been way too much. It's just way too many people. It's like they, even back in 2015, we had a higher immigration then, but it was we still had like standards, and we were like filtering people, but then we slowly just completely got rid of all of the immigration standards, and then I think it was like 2023. That was when it was really crazy. I remember I went out for a walk one day, and I just walked down the street, and there was a huge group of like 16 people from sub-Saharan Africa who they were all speaking in a foreign language, and they were like looking around and pointing at stuff, and they were like extremely confused, and it looked like they had just arrived here, and I saw a lot of that stuff since then. Although I think they've chilled out on immigration for a bit, supposedly, but we'll see if they stick to that. They'll probably lower immigration for six months, and they'll say like, all right, it's time to normalize immigration again. Gonna bring it back up to 5 million a year. From a friend that I'll wait till your comment, but I'll probably call it a night. Okay. I assume you're typing something, so I'll wait until you. I don't want to cut you off, but it's blocking my comments. Oh yeah, I don't have any filters on, but it's probably Google. There's some auto moderation on the. If you go to the live chat, it'll probably show. Oh, I guess Google doesn't like whatever you said, so we'll never know unless you click the live chat tab. There's some ad hoc moderation on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know what the rules are. Honestly, there's stuff that I would have wanted YouTube to censor that it doesn't censor, but then there's other very like innocent stuff. We'll do anything for money. That's interesting that it would censor that. All right, let's commit this. I'll turn into Edward Snowden. Yeah, I mean that is one. That does seem like a really serious I think there are a number of serious national security concerns of having like a lot of unvetted people from many foreign countries and then immediately promoting them into high-ranking positions in critical infrastructure. But I don't know. I guess if we're equally compromised by every other country, then maybe it'll balance itself out. Post a link to a funny video, but it's blocked. Yeah, links are probably blocked. It's probably I wouldn't trust clicking a link from YouTube. So Robert, what are your plans for the world? Check out my most recent long form video. Game Dev Chat, how's it going? Actually, I was just about to end the stream. Hope you're doing well. That'll be it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow for day 290. All right, have a good night.